Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The clock strikes 7 as I sit at my desk, the soft glow of my computer screen casting long shadows across the room. It's another late evening at the office, surrounded by the hum of idle computers and the occasional rustle of papers. I am lost in a maze of financial reports when my phone buzzes with a message. It's from Lucy. My heart skips as I read her words. I miss you, my love. I can't wait to see you again. The message stirs a mixture of anticipation and dread within me. This morning, I had told her I'd be working late, yet here I am, excusing myself early for her sake. As I drive home, the city lights blur into streaks of color. My mind races as fast as my car. What could Lucy be planning? A surprise, perhaps, or maybe just a quiet evening together. I pull into our driveway earlier than expected, the house looking serene as it basks in the twilight. I quietly unlock the front door, hoping to catch her in the midst of setting up a surprise. But the scene that greets me shatters any such fantasies. The sound of laughter leads me to the living room. There, my world comes crashing down. Lucy, barely clothed, sits on some man's lap, their lips locked in a passionate kiss. They don't notice me at first, giving me a moment to take in the betrayal. Lucy. My voice cuts through the room like a knife. They spring apart, shock painted across Lucy's face. Mark. It's not what it looks like, she stammers, scrambling to cover herself. Really? Because it looks exactly like what it is. I retort, my voice cold and sharp. The man stands up, adjusting his shirt. Look, I didn't know she was. Save it. I snap, cutting him off. He doesn't need to explain, I've seen enough. He grabs his coat and leaves without another word, leaving Lucy and me in a suffocating silence. Mark, please, let me explain, Lucy pleads, tears brimming in her eyes. What's there to explain, Lucy? How long has this been going on? I demand, my heart racing with a mix of anger and pain. It was a mistake. I was lonely, you've been so busy with work. Her voice trails off as she tries to justify her actions. A mistake. Is that what I am to you now? Just someone to pass the time with when you're bored? I retort sharply, my mind racing with the implications of her infidelity. She reaches out to me, but I step back, feeling a chasm widening between us. I can't do this. Not now. I leave the room, her sobs echoing behind me. That night, alone in our bed, I devise a plan. If Lucy thinks she can betray me without consequence, she's mistaken. I will make sure she regrets her actions. I start gathering evidence of her infidelity, contacting lawyers, and preparing for the battle ahead. Our divorce is swift and merciless. I strip away the life we built together, piece by piece. I make sure that when the dust settles, our paths never cross again. As I stand in the empty living room, the memories of that evening haunt me. But there's no turning back now. I've set the wheels of revenge in motion, and there's no stopping until I've reclaimed my life. The journey has just begun, and the depth of Lucy's betrayal is only the first of many secrets that will unravel in the chapters to come. 3 weeks have passed since that fateful night. The air is crisp and cool as autumn claims the city. My days are filled with meetings and meticulous planning. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and mine needs careful preparation. As I walk into the coffee shop, my eyes immediately scan the room for Tom, a private investigator I had contacted days after discovering Lucy's betrayal. He waves from a corner table, a manila envelope in hand. The envelope promises secrets, the hidden truths of Lucy's double life. Mark, good to see you, Tom greets me, his voice low and steady. He slides the envelope across the table. I've got everything you asked for. Phone records, messages, and a few interesting photos. I open the envelope, my fingers trembling slightly. The contents spill out, a cascade of betrayal captured in digital colors and cold, hard data. How many? I ask, not sure if I want to hear the answer. At least 3 others, over the past 6 months, Tom replies, his face grim. She was careful, but not careful enough. I feel a chill run down my spine. Lucy's deceit was deeper than I had imagined. I clench my fists, the images burning behind my eyes. Did she use our money? Some of it, yes. There are receipts here for gifts, hotels, even a weekend getaway, Tom continues, pointing to the damning evidence. Perfect, I mutter, my mind racing. This wasn't just a fling, it was a full-blown affair, funded by our joint savings. Anger simmers within me, fueling my resolve. I stand up, tucking the envelope under my arm. Thanks, Tom. Send me your invoice. I'll take care of it right away. Will do. Mark, just be careful, Tom advises, concern etching his features. I nod, though my path is set. The next step is clear. As I leave the coffee shop, I dial my lawyer, the plan unfolding with each step. Sarah, it's Mark. I've got what we need. Let's file for the assets freeze, and push for the full custody hearing for the kids, I say into the phone, my voice firm and resolute. Understood, Sarah replies. I'll prepare the motions. We'll make sure she doesn't get a penny more than what's legally necessary. The next day, I visit the bank and the school, ensuring that all legal protections are in place. Lucy's access to our funds is blocked, and the school is informed about the custody proceedings. Every move is calculated, leaving nothing to chance. In the evening, I sit in the quiet of my newly solitary home, the legal documents spread out before me. I rehearse what I will say in court, each word a nail in the coffin of the life Lucy and I once shared. As I prepare, I can't help but reflect on the depth of her betrayal. It's not just the infidelity but the calculated misuse of our life savings that stings the most. I close my eyes, envisioning the courtroom. Lucy will be there, her face a mask of shock and dismay as she realizes the full extent of her actions' consequences. I'll be there too, standing strong, reclaiming not just assets and custody but my dignity and self-respect. As the night deepens, I know the coming weeks will be tumultuous. But I am ready. This battle, born out of betrayal, will end in my victory. The storm is gathering, and I am its master, steering the course as I head into the heart of the tempest. The courtroom is a cavernous space, filled with the hushed whispers of spectators and the shuffling of legal papers. Today, it serves as the battleground where the final act of my retribution against Lucy is set to unfold. I sit stiffly, dressed in a sharp suit, my face an unreadable mask as I prepare for the confrontation. Lucy enters the room, her steps tentative. She looks pale, a stark contrast to the confident woman I once knew. Our eyes meet briefly, a flash of shared history in a glance, but I look away, focusing on the task at hand. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, please rise, the judge announces, his voice echoing through the courtroom. We stand, and the proceedings begin. My lawyer, Sarah, is poised with documents in hand, ready to present the case. Your Honor, we are here to request an immediate freeze on the joint assets of the Anderson estate and full custody of the children to Mr. Anderson, Sarah starts, her voice clear and confident. Evidence will show that Mrs. Anderson has not only been unfaithful but has also misappropriated family assets for her affairs. Lucy's lawyer rises, a look of defiance on his face. Your Honor, Mrs. Anderson acknowledges a brief lapse in judgment but denying her access to her children and the assets they depend on is both punitive and unnecessary. The judge nods, indicating for Sarah to continue. She presents the photos, the receipts, the testimonies from Tom, and the detailed records of Lucy's misdeeds. The evidence is damning, displayed for all to see on the projector screen. Lucy flinches as her secrets are laid bare, her infidelities exposed to the cold light of the courtroom. Murmurs ripple through the audience as each piece of evidence is shown, building a narrative of deception and betrayal. Your Honor, these actions do not only breach marital trust but also endanger the financial stability of the Anderson children, Sarah concludes, placing the last of the documents on the table. Lucy is given a chance to respond. She stands, her voice shaky. I made mistakes, yes, but I love my children. I never meant to hurt them. I was just lost. Her plea hangs in the air, but the sympathy she might have expected does not come. The judge looks between us, his expression thoughtful, then scribbles some notes. Given the evidence presented, I am inclined to grant Mr. Anderson the full custody of the children. As for the assets, a temporary freeze will remain in place until a further hearing can determine the appropriate division, the judge finally declares. Relief washes over me, mixed with a bitter sense of victory. Lucy sobs quietly, her lawyer consoling her with a hand on her shoulder. As the gavel strikes, sealing her fate, I realize that this victory, while necessary, is hollow. The price of my retribution is the final dissolution of what was once a family. As I exit the courtroom, the weight of the past month settles on my shoulders. The battle is won, but at what cost? The intrigue of my revenge resolves with my family irreversibly altered. As I step out into the cool air, I consider the road ahead, long and uncertain, wondering if the pursuit of justice was worth the price of peace. Months have passed since the courtroom decision, and the streets are now covered with the crisp leaves of early fall. My life has settled into a new rhythm, one defined by single fatherhood and the quiet satisfaction of a life rebuilt. However, the final act of my retribution plan unfolds tonight, a meticulous plot that will seal the fate of those who betrayed me. I sit in my car across from a grand hotel, the site of a charity gala hosted by none other than John Hargrove, Lucy's most influential and deceitful lover. He is the man I saved for last, the pinnacle of my revenge. Tonight, his downfall is orchestrated with precision. As guests filter in, dressed in their finery, I check the contents of my briefcase, photos, a flash drive, and a well-crafted letter, all weapons in my arsenal of vengeance. I step into the hotel, my suit immaculate, my resolve like steel. The ballroom buzzes with laughter and music, a stark contrast to the storm brewing under the surface. I spot John, laughing amongst a group of high-profile guests, his demeanor that of a man untouched by consequence. As I approach, I catch the eye of a well-known journalist, someone I know can amplify the impact of what's about to happen. I nod subtly, and she positions herself within earshot. It's time. John. I call out, my voice loud enough to turn heads. Mark? What a surprise. To what do we owe the honor? John replies, his tone cautious but cordial. I thought it's time everyone knows the kind of man you really are, I say, my voice edged with a cold fury. From my briefcase, I pull out the photos, indisputable evidence of John's and Lucy's betrayal, not just to me but to others as well. John's face drains of color as I toss the photos onto the table where his friends are gathered. Gasps and murmurs ripple through the group as the images make their rounds. This is a misunderstanding, John starts, but his voice falters, the lie too heavy on his tongue. No misunderstanding. And there's more, I say, holding up the flash drive. This contains emails and messages. Lucy wasn't the only one you deceived, was she? I look around at the shocked faces of his colleagues and friends. Did you know he's been embezzling from his company and his charity? Everyone, check your inboxes tomorrow morning. John reaches for me, anger flashing in his eyes, but security is already upon him, a scene erupting as flashbulbs go off and the journalist begins her live report. As John is dragged away, I turn to leave, the chaos of my making swirling behind me. My heart pounds, not with fear, but with a dark triumph. This is the cost of betrayal, I muse. This is the price of deceit. Walking away from the gala, the cool night embraces me. The city seems different tonight, darker, yet more honest. Lucy and John, the architects of my pain, are now facing the ruins of their choices. I've ensured they received their due, publicly and irrevocably. As I drive home, the streets empty and silent around me, I feel a chapter closing. The revenge has been exacting and ruthless, but the emptiness it leaves behind is palpable. I know that from here, my path must be one of rebuilding and reflection, away from the shadows of the past. Lucy and I, and all those connected to our shattered lives, part forever, bound only by the memory of betrayal and the harshness of its retribution. The finality of it all settles within me, a stark reminder of the cost of vengeance. As I pull into the driveway of my home, where new beginnings await, I understand that some wounds will never fully heal, and some stories, once ended, can never be rewritten.